Have you ever stopped to think, really think, about whether sports can truly exist in like a separate bubble, away from everything else going on? It's easy to just focus on the game, right? But then, well, sometimes the real world steps right onto the pitch. And that seems to be exactly what happened with a big cricket match cancellation we saw recently. So today, in this deep dive, we're going to unpack that. The cancellation of the India versus Pakistan match in the World Championship of Legends. And look, this isn't just about one game that didn't happen. It's actually, I think, a pretty revealing look at how fragile that whole idea of sports diplomacy can be sometimes. You know, how national feelings and politics can really shape what happens in a competition.
Yeah, what's really striking here is how this specific incident, it just clearly mirrors the bigger geopolitical picture. It really underlines how even these veteran sports events, steeped in history, they're not immune at all. This cancellation, it's a perfect example of that complex dance, maybe collision even, between sport and global politics.
It really is. And what's quite remarkable is maybe how quickly it all seemed to unfold. Can you just remind us of the core event? We're talking about the Veterans Cricket match, right? India-Pakistan in the World Championship of Legends, the WCL, scheduled for Sunday in Birmingham, and then suddenly called off.
That's it, called off. And this was meant to be India's first match in the tournament.
Right. The WCL had already started, hadn't it? Like 3 games played since July 18th.
Exactly. And you've got big names involved. Yuvraj Singh leading India, Mohammad Hafiz captaining Pakistan. Legends of the game.
So why? What was the official reason given for pulling the plug?
Well, the official line was, and I quote, "The current geopolitical situation and prevailing tensions between India and Pakistan." And, when they say that, it's not really happening in a vacuum, if you connect the dots.
Ah, you mean it links back to other recent events?
Precisely. This builds on heightened tensions, particularly after that Pahalgam terror attack back in April. Remember, that attack already had knock-on effects. It led to temporary suspensions for both the IPL and the PSL.
Right. I remember that. So this isn't totally out of the blue then. It's part of maybe a wider pattern of strained relations impacting sport.
Exactly. It follows that pattern.
Okay, but then there's the player angle, which is fascinating here. Shikhar Dhawan, he didn't just, accept this quietly. He actually went public, didn't he? On X, the platform formerly known as Twitter.
He did. Posted a screenshot, a thermal statement.
And what did it say? He basically reiterated his stance.
Yeah, he formally stated he would not be participating in any matches against the Pakistan team. Very clear.
And he also mentioned this wasn't a sudden decision, right? He said it had been discussed before.
That's a key point.
Hmm.
He highlighted that this discussion was communicated earlier, dated 11th May 2025, and that the decision was made after due consideration. So premeditated, not reactive.
And he asked the league for, what was it, understanding and cooperation? Polite, but quite firm.
Very firm, which, obviously puts the organizers in a really awkward spot.
Yeah, I bet. So how did the WCL organizers respond to that?
Well, they'd apparently planned the match, hoping for the best. They even mentioned, other India-Pakistan sporting interactions, like the Pakistan hockey team planning to tour India and a recent under-16 volleyball match. They were using those as examples, trying to foster that sports diplomacy angle.
So they were hopeful it could go ahead, despite the tensions.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
But faced with Dhawan's public statement and wanting to avoid, as they put it, having unintentionally caused discomfort to our Indian cricket legends.
Ah, that phrase, unintentionally caused discomfort.
Yes. They decided to cancel the game based on that.
Is that just careful PR, do you think? Or does it show a real dilemma for these sports bodies caught in the middle?
It's probably a bit of both, isn't it? It highlights the sensitivity. They tried the diplomacy route maybe a bit naively, some might say, but then player sentiment, national sentiment just overrides it. It raises that big question. What is the role of organizers in these situations?
Can they actually push for diplomacy if the players themselves, reflecting maybe wider feelings, aren't on board?
That's the core challenge. Dhawan's stance really shows that personal conviction tied to national feeling can be more powerful than the organizers' hopes for bridge building. That bridge, as you said earlier, seems pretty fragile when the political foundations are shaky.
So, okay, the match is canceled. What does this mean for the rest of the tournament? And I suppose for you, the listener following this, remind us of the WCL format again.
Sure. It's the second edition, 6 teams. India, Pakistan, Australia, South Africa, England, West Indies. Everyone plays everyone once in the group stage.
Right. And then the top 4 go through.
Yep. Top 4 to the semifinals on July 31st, and then the final is set for August 2nd. Games are being played across a few grounds: Birmingham, Northampton, Leicester, Leeds.
Okay, so the tournament carries on. But the massive question, the elephant in the room really is, what if? What happens if India and Pakistan actually end up drawn against each other in the knockout stages? A semifinal, maybe even the final.
That's the huge unresolved issue hanging over everything now, isn't it? That potential clash later on.
Yeah, well, it feels loaded with tension already. It really does. So this whole episode, this canceled match, it just serves as a really stark reminder, doesn't it? How deep these geopolitical issues run and how they can just reach right into the heart of a sporting event we were all looking forward to.
Absolutely. It's that complex mix, isn't it? National feeling, individual player choices, and then the organizers trying to manage it all.
Yeah, a tough balancing act.
It makes you think, though, what does this tell us about international sport going forward? In these off-field realities, the politics, the history, the anxieties can so clearly dictate what actually happens on the field.
Hmm.
And what could that mean for other big global competitions? It really pushes you to consider sports not just as, fun and games, but maybe as a kind of sensitive, sometimes uncomfortable barometer of how countries are getting along or perhaps not getting along. Something to think about.